Greetings, Internet! Hello, Facebook! Hello, YouTube! I am so happy to see all of you on this Tuesday night. And thank you for joining us for another episode of My Cool Friends. We go live every Friday and Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you are wondering how I do all of this fancy stuff, well, we are going to be having a mastermind on how to monetize your YouTube channel over in one of these bottom links, because everything gets screwed up on, I don't know if anything's backwards or forwards. It's down over in there in this corner. Today, we have a very, very special guest, one of my very dear and very cool friends. He is the author of the Drive Sales book, teaching you how to grow your sales by 400%. And on top of that, he is also a public speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome, with homemade sound effects, Mr. Woodward.
I love your energy, Ben. Thank you very much, man. Honored to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, Woody. And I would like to start off with one of the mighty questions that everyone has on their minds as they join us live. Mr. Woody Woodward, what is the fastest way to make $1 million?
Wow, you're hitting it hard early. All right, let's go.
Yes.
Let's go there. I like that. That's like at the end of the day.
Yes, please.
That's why people want to know. That's why people are here. Bottom line is this: you get compensated in direct proportion to the value that you create. So the more value you create, the more compensation you get. You take an athlete, you take an actress, you take a social media star, you take a politician, anybody who's creating massive value in the world, they then create a larger audience. That larger audience produces a higher financial result.
Wow. And so can you, how have you used this knowledge for yourself? And beyond that, could you give us some direct examples? Because I've heard some objections like, oh yeah, I've always heard this value thing, but that would never work for me.
It's because you've never made it work. Yeah. So honestly, here's the thing: is there is literally no secret to success. Absolutely none. It comes down to finding what actually works, implementing it, and not stopping till you tweak it to make it work for you. But I have my own system, and it's called MAPS, M-A-P-S. So write these little equations down. On the left-hand side of the piece of paper, write the letters M, then underneath that, the P, and then the S. M-P-S. To the right of the P, write an X sign, then write the letter A, and then the equal sign. So it's M-P-S times A equals any amount of dollar signs you want to put behind it. So let me break it down, the MAP system. M is for your message, P is for your product, S is for your service. So whether you're a message company that is charities, that's, save the dolphins, save the Arctic bears, whatever you're trying to save, that's a message type company. Then you have products companies, standard products, selling a widget, gadget, whatever it is, or a service company, which is anything that's, think of monthly payments. So every industry I've studied falls into one of those three categories: message, product, or service. Times by the A equals how much money you make. So the A is audience. You take a school teacher, they have an audience of 30 kids. They're going to cap out at 60, maybe 80 grand a year in New York or LA. But you take somebody else, you take a Oprah Winfrey, you take anybody who has millions of followers, they're going to generate hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. So does it mean that their message, their product, or their service was any less valuable than an Oprah Winfrey? Well, no, not at all. They just happen to have a larger audience. So to me, everything is about audience. If I give you guys any advice, do not worry about your logo. Do not worry about what camera you use, what lighting system you have. The most important thing you can spend your time on is finding your audience. And there's three ways to find it: buy, build, or borrow. So buy, build, or borrow. Buying an audience is very traditional. That's paying for Google AdWords, paying for Facebook AdWords, whatever you're trying to buy eyeballs. We know that it's more efficient now than it used to be. So back in the day when you pay for a billboard, or I've done full page magazines, I've done, you name it, I've paid fortunes for it. There was no way to track it. Now with social media, you can track, but still it's very expensive. You can build an audience the way you've done it, Ben. It's very time consuming. You got to create massive content, massive value over a very long period of time. The shortest way and the fastest way to the $1 million is by borrowing an audience. Going to somebody who has a credible, reputable audience that you can serve. And by doing so, you now are borrowing their audience because you've created massive value for them to want to go buy and follow you, to like you, to buy your products. That to me is the fastest way I've ever seen to make $1 million, as well as to really launch your product.
Wow. So for those of you that are watching this on the replay, I'm typing this into our locations on Facebook and YouTube. So the MAPS system and the fastest ways are buy, build, and borrow. Now, I want to ask you, Woody, at an objection that I've seen a lot of people come up with in recent conversations I've been a part of, as well as in my own audience, the speed bump of, I want to build this audience, and I want to have this following, but I don't like being the face of my company. I don't like being on camera. I don't like being the person on the Twitter page. I don't like being in front of the camera. As he giggles as I say this. So what is your reaction to this as someone who has been on stage? And I'm sure that you didn't just start off like, all right, here we go. As you like went off onto stage, I'm sure you didn't just start off gleaming with self-confidence. Like, what would you say to this person? What was your own journey overcoming this hump? I'm curious.
Yeah, great question. So I call it the Oz or Elvis principle. So Elvis was in front of the curtain. He was on the name on the marquee. Elvis Presley, Las Vegas. You knew his name. Oz is behind the curtain. It is very, very hard to be Oz behind the curtain and to be successful. Very hard. I started off like every speaker, author, trainer. You start out as Elvis. You're on stage, you're rock and rolling. I was fortunate in that I had a lot of relationships and connections that helped me launch my career. And I did everything for about 15 years, all by referral. Like if you Google Woody Woodward, you won't find almost anything about me. And it was 1 year ago this year that I actually joined Facebook. So I went 15 years, multiple seven-figure business every single year, never having a Facebook, not even having a website. Like I still to this day don't actually have a website. I charge $4,000 an hour for consulting, and everything has been done by referral. Now, here is the lesson that I learned. So I was in a mastermind group, and these guys are just hounding me. And I won't say their names. A lot of you guys know their names, but they are hounding me. Like literally one guy is cursing me out. He has a following of like 1.5 million. He's like, you're a jackass, and I can't believe you and how selfish you are not sharing your message with the... What do you mean? I'm sharing my message every day. I just with my high-end one-on-one clients, and he just tore me down. So I said, okay, fine. So stupid thing, and I'll do it. Here's what I learned that was so valuable. And it really was COVID. When COVID hit, and this is the first time in history, think of, you guys remember the Etch-a-Sketch. This is the first time in history where everyone's audience got shaken and erased. So during second quarter of 2020, Delta Airlines and Disney both lost $5 billion respectively in a 3-month period. 5 billion, B as in boy. They lost it because they didn't have an audience. They had no access to their audience. They couldn't allow people on the airplanes or into the theme parks. So it hit me where I'm like, I am so grateful I finally got online, though I was repulsed by it forever. And because I was online, it helped me leverage so many key relationships, meeting you, connecting with you. I've done podcasts literally around the world. I've got one tomorrow in Germany. I've got another one in Australia on Thursday, all because of having an online presence. And I love being Oz. I love nobody knowing who I am. Like I said, if you Google me, you are not going to find me. I have written 42 books. I have produced 3 movies, 3 infomercials. I have made, before I turned 40, $1 million in 4 completely different industries. And before I hit 50, I'm on my 5th company making over $1 million. Once again, nobody knows me. And I love it that way. but the world has changed. If you don't have access to your audience, you lose. Flat out, you lose.
It's so like what you're saying. I've known, and yet it's still like, yes, it hits so hard to hear someone like you say, like, yes, I've done it behind the curtain, and yet this is the world we live in now. One of my own personal stories, my dad was forced into the online world this past year because of COVID. He is a family psychologist. He helps a lot of families. And he is the same way. Like, he's like, I won't touch the computer. I am absolutely repulsed by this online world. Just give me my pen and paper. And then he was forced into it because of COVID. And he was forced into it kicking and screaming. And then I said to him, hey, imagine if COVID happened in the 90s. And then that scary feeling came over him. Like, I love the internet now. I am here forever.
Yeah. So let me tell you why I hate my son. This will make complete sense. For those of you who don't know, Ben saved my business. I think Ben helped me make, I don't know what the number was, $68,000 or $78,000 in like 30 days, because I was launching my new book, the Drive Sales book, and I couldn't get it to work. And someone referred me to Ben, and he stayed up all night and with me. He made it work, and it was priceless. But the same day, and I don't think Ben, I've ever told you the story. The same day I launched the Drive Sales book, and we did 40,000 bookstores worldwide. We did Amazon, you name it. It was absolutely everywhere. And once again, I've had 25 years experience as a consultant. I've done the movies, the infomercials. I've done all these things. We launched this book, and I've got a huge list of people who are dying, ready to get it, 5-star reviews. Everyone's loving it. The day that I launched, my son, who is on TikTok, launched a simple business, bending old spoons into rings. The day that I launched my book is the same day he launched his business at 17 years old, and he outsold me. I was so pissed off. In fact, wait 1 second.
I have not heard this. For those of you listening, I have not heard this story before. This is new unboxing for me.
No, this is horrible. So I am so mad. I look it over, and this is what he's doing to me. He's flipping me off while he's looking at his numbers on his phone, making money. And this was his Christmas gift to me. This is what I got for Christmas from him. And so it stays in my office as a constant reminder that you absolutely have to build your audience. So this was back in September. He had 654,000 people on TikTok. Since that time, he is now at 1.2 million in 4 months. He's on track to doing over $1 million in his 18th birthday, by his 18th birthday. We're talking about someone who has not the 25-year experience I have, not the accolades, the credibility, all that stuff doesn't matter anymore. Who's your audience, and do you have access to them, and can you serve them?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it, like, the story of you and me is absolutely perfect. It's something I heard recently. It's that all these marketing messages and all this years of experience and all these like degrees and accolades. If someone is wandering in the desert looking for help, and you have a sign that says water, that's a sale. And there's so many people that are like, they have their expertise, and there's someone out there that is wandering the desert looking for them. And
you're so right. It's mind-blowing to me. So I've spent probably the last week studying TikTok like crazy. So I hate social media, but when I learn something, I go nuts, and I don't sleep. I study nonstop till I figure it out. So I've been on TikTok studying businesses and why businesses work on TikTok. It's fascinating to me because there are all these early 20-year-olds, 22, 23, 24, who are, experts in their field and so forth, but they literally have 1 million followers. And then, like you mentioned Russell Brunson, all these other people, they have 6,000 followers on TikTok. And believe it or not, these other people are doing way more influence, connectability, and selling in that genre than anybody else. So to me, I don't care if you have a Harvard degree. If you aren't online connecting to people and building value in relationships as fast as you possibly can, you might as well go collect your unemployment check, because it's going to be there right around the corner.
Absolutely. I was having a conversation with someone who I was helping with their YouTube channel, and this same exact topic came up. It's like, assume the cum laude doesn't mean anything if it doesn't mean anything to your audience.
Yeah. I'm a high school dropout. I mean, I'm the first book I wrote was called Millionaire Dropouts. In fact, the first 7 books I wrote were called Millionaire Dropouts, Inspiring Stories of the World's Greatest Failures. I dropped out of high school. I dropped out of college. I was a millionaire at 26 and broke at 27. So to me, no one has ever asked me, Woody, what's your degree in? When they talk, they hear my passion. They understand my voice. They understand my message. Like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. And that was at 20, 30, 40, or 50. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I'm gonna give you a virtual high five because I'm a college dropout, and yeah, and like you're like, these are completely different years. Like, I did this in the age of technology, where it's like, I don't like, how is A gonna help me to get B? And I just like, I wanted to like help people. I wanted to serve people. I wanted to get to where the like actual knowledge and experience was. And to me, that was under people that were actually doing the thing. And I was studying like film and all that stuff at the time. And so I just went and started seeking out people that were actually doing whatever it is that I wanted to learn. And that seemed like the fastest track to get wherever it is that I wanted to go.
Along those same lines, I literally taught myself in November and December Adobe Illustrator. I always want to know it. I'm sick of paying a fortune to designers, and then I got to tell them what to change. Like, I just got to learn this. So I literally stayed up all night long just YouTubing. How do I do this? How do I draw a line? How do I draw a circle? How do I delete? How do I edit? And now, if you are not on the road to being successful, and I'm not saying being successful because that never happens. It's just a road. If you are not on the road to being successful and having success in your life, it is 100% your own fault. 100%. Because we live in a time where we have access to information that generations and centuries never had access to. So if you aren't going in the direction you want, simply you aren't Googling hard enough or long enough.
Right. What this reminds me of is that, like, in history, like, libraries would be waged wars over. And one of the biggest tragedies is when we lost, like, I think it was like the Library of Alexandria, when thousands and thousands of scrolls burned, and some of that information is just gone forever. And now we have all of the humans' knowledge and history in our pockets, and you people are using it to argue.
Yeah. And once again, those who choose to do that will never be successful.
So I'd love to know, bringing this conversation full circle. So you have used this knowledge to go from a high school dropout to writing, to gaining massive wealth with the stage, to then writing all these books, to then coming all the way back around to the online world. I'd love to know, like, how has your experience from the stage translated to coming to this platform that we are on right now, to video? How have you seen like a one-to-one translation or not a one-to-one translation?
It's a one-to-one, because at the end of the day, we all communicate for a living. No matter what you do, you communicate for a living. So do you communicate effectively or ineffectively? And it all comes down to engagement. So like most people, I love to consume video. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of TikTok. And here's where I really am doubling down on TikTok and believing where it's going in the future. Because it's only 1 minute long at its maximum, you have to deliver the fastest, most efficient, most engaging content, or people swipe up. YouTube, you don't swipe up. You click out, you fast forward, you move the line. Eventually, I'll get to what I want. I would tell everyone right now, honestly, study the algorithms on TikTok and people, the way they engage, the way they don't engage. because on stage it's the same thing. And I'll give you guys a behind the scenes. When Ben and I were talking about this and launching, he's like, well, I'll start with your story. I'm like, absolutely not. We're not going to start with my story because they don't care who I am yet until I've created value for them. So give me your hardest question up front. Give me the biggest meat and potatoes question that your audience wants to know. So the same thing when you guys are delivering your video. Do not waste time with, oh, I'm going to tell them what I told them and then I'm going to show them what I told them. No. Give them the reason why they freaking clicked on the button. I cannot stand when people start with a minute-long dialogue of how they did this and why they did this and how. No, give me why I clicked on your stupid video. I want the answer so I can go on to the next video. So same thing with the stage. I don't deliver anything from the stage unless it's as engaging as possible. My favorite thing to do is delete stuff. So I'll create all my PowerPoints, and my PowerPoints for a 90-minute PowerPoint, I will have on average 180 to 200 PowerPoint slides. So let me tell you this, it's not the amount of slides they see that matters, it's how fast you give them the information that matters. So you can have 3 slides or you can have 200 slides. If you can give them the information as fast as they want to consume it in an engaging way as possible, they'll stay forever. So what I'd love to do is go through all your stuff and then just start deleting, like get rid of as much information as you can. Leave out your story. Your story is irrelevant. Nobody cares about you. No one cares about you. And for a right reason. They only care about themselves and they want the information they want. So give them it.
I love how you phrased that. Is that people are wondering like, oh, hey, how can this person help me? And so we know it doesn't matter what platform you're on, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're speaking from the stage, whether you're on Facebook or any of these other ones, people are looking for the value. People are looking for how can this person help me? And that's how you build your audience. Would you say that's true?
It's 100%. And that's how your and my relationship started. When you and I got connected, I needed to solve a problem ASAP. Like I was launching my book, the drivesalesbook.com. Website's up. I've done my ClickFunnels. I've done everything, and it is not working. And I've got all this media coming. I'm like dying on the vine here. And when you and I got on the phone, I did not care what your father did for a living, what you do for a living. I don't care where you were born, if you're married or single. I don't care anything about you. I care that you solve my problem. Now, ironically, the second somebody solves your problem, you love them forever. Ben can ask anything of me, and he can have it. Like I'll give Ben anything I have because he saved me in a time I needed it most. So that's what it's about. Don't give them all the fluff. Give them what they want. Build that connection. You'll have a friend for life.
Absolutely. And it's these, I want to touch base on what you just said. These connections. Would you say like these connections are exactly like what has built you up to where you are now?
Exactly. A dear friend of mine, Garrett Gunderson, said he's got this equation. Write this equation down. I love this equation, and give it to Garrett. It's his IP. So it is MC plus RC equals FC. So MC, so M is in Mary, MC plus RC, R is in rat, equals FC, F is in fat. So mental capital plus relationship capital equals financial capital. Ooh. That is the entire story of my life. I have a lot of mental capital. I study a ton of books. I read 200 to 300 books a year. I then have a ton of relationship capital, people like you, people that I know. That's why I didn't have any online presence, because I had the relationship capital and the mental capital to equal the financial capital. Now, the benefit with online marketing and with online audience building is you're expanding that relationship capital. So I can say I probably have 100 key relationships that I can generate any amount of revenue that I want to work. Now, if I take that same revenue or I take that same relationship and I put it all online and I get to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, now the capital and the leverageability of that capital goes through the roof. And that's the new economy. It just is. It's the same thing. You got to have mental capital. You have to know something, but your relationship capital is where you get the financial capital.
I love that. That equation has been written in the comment section for everyone. MC plus RC equals FC. And what that reminds me of is that it's the journey that we're all on of like climbing up the mountain. You can read all the books, you can do all the studying that it takes to get up the mountain, but at the same time, like, you have to plan for the worst. Like, something can go wrong, and sometimes you need another person to catch you. That's why mountain climbers travel in teams.
Yes. Yeah. I call it a battle buddy. You always have to have a battle buddy, somebody you can call at any time. Your 4 a.m. friends, the ones you can text and say, man, I'm stuck. Where am I at? And I mean, you've done that for me. There's many times I've texted you at midnight, hey, I'm stuck on this one thing, help me out. And you've been there for me. I have a ton of friends, vice versa. They text me. I got friends in Australia. They text me at 4 a.m. I got a friend in China. He texts me at 3 a.m. It's knowing that you're going to be there for that person when they need it most, and then it's reciprocal.
Absolutely. I would love to piggyback off of that 4 a.m. feeling, and talk about a point in your life. As we've all been climbing the mountain, could you tell us a point on your journey where you thought, hey, like, I don't think that this is gonna continue, and you thought that this was gonna be the end of your journey, and it clearly wasn't, because you're sitting here with me today?
There are so many. I'm going to give you instead of one big one, I'm going to just give you a bunch of them super fast, because
Cool.
they all were very integral parts of my life. So when I dropped out of high school and completely failed out of life, and I couldn't read until I was actually 19 years old, and I hired a tutor. And that's when I first learned the value of a mentor, like actually paying someone to give you the information you don't know. So I paid this girl who was probably 20 and I was 19 to teach me how to read. So she taught me for an entire year to read. Now I read insatiably. When I was 26 years old, we sold my company to my business partners, had a net worth of over $1 million. I had invested in the stock market. It was the .com bomb. We lost it all within about 3 months of a period of time. I had to move out of my home. I had 2 homes. I had to rent out another home, move out of my home, live in my parents' basement. It was an unfinished basement. I had one room, a 10-foot by 10-foot room. So I went from a 4,200 square foot home in a private community on a green belt with a home theater to a unfinished, like bare walls, stud walls, 10-foot by 10-foot room with my little baby who's 6 months old, my wife and I, and my office in 100 square feet. Learned how to turn things around, got back in, did real estate investments, things like that. Moved to California, got heavy into a mortgage company. We had a mortgage company in, I think it was 7 states. We did over $100 million in real estate transactions. I'm going to get rid of it, sell it, move on, do the next big thing. That ends up being right around 2008. .com bomb is now being repeated as the .com housing bubble burst. I now lose my house. I lose my exotic cars. I lose my wife's car. I lose pretty much everything. In a 12-minute period of time, I had someone repossess my cars. I had someone foreclose on my house. I went online to wellsfargo.com, and all of my accounts, 8 accounts, all said zero. Wells Fargo strategically attacked me at one time and leveled me, like absolutely leveled me. I then, went on food stamps, had to borrow money from friends and family. I had to go into my friend's cell phone account just so I could have a cell phone. Literally would go through the couches trying to find change to put enough gas in the car to get to a client's house to hopefully make enough money to buy food that night. And this has been my entire life. Fast forward up to 2000, that was in 2008 and 9/11. 2015, I finally filed bankruptcy. I had held it off for 7 years from 08 to 15. And I finally, like, you know what? I just got to file. I'm done. I can't do it. Rebuild everything. 2017, high as a kite, 7-figure year. Things are fantastic. I buy the Ferrari. I pay cash. I got the big house, all those things. 2019, I get bored. I'm like, you know what? All this hard work, these 18-hour days, everything is useless to me. I'm going to sell everything I own, take a backpack and my kids and wife, and travel the world. So in literally 3 weeks, we sold the Range Rover, the Maserati, the Ferrari. We sold everything, the house, all of our possessions, like physically, all of our furniture, everything. I told my kids, you can have 2 suitcases, and they have to be carry-on, and a backpack. And we went to go travel the world. So January 1, so literally a year ago. Oh, in fact, this is so cool. A year ago today.
Oh.
Anniversary. 1 year ago today, we fly to Florida to hit the Southern Caribbean, and we're going to take 4 years and travel the world. And I'm writing the Drive book at the time. We go down to the Bahamas. We hit 7 countries down there. We come back. I've got a couple speaking gigs. I go to Australia. March 15th happens. We're supposed to move out of our house April 1st to go to Paris. Airline tickets are purchased. We're going to go hit Europe. COVID happens. I get stranded and I'm homeless now. I don't have any possessions. In the last 12 months, we were just calculating, we have physically lived in 6 different houses because we'd get a 3-month rental, a 2-month rental, a 5-month rental, thinking, oh, COVID's going to lift. I'm going to go travel the world. So here I sacrificed. I gave up all my worldly possessions that I worked my entire life to achieve to go have this experience that now I physically can't have. And then COVID happens. I lose 90% of my income this year alone because all my speaking gigs got canceled. So the only money I made was the royalties that I make from other deals that I have. So as an entrepreneur, when you say, well, give me a story, like I live it every freaking day. Like it never stops. Like I'm in this house, I'm in this multi-million-dollar house right now in Florida that I'm renting, but I get kicked out on March 1 because we only have it to March 1. And now I got to go find another house and I don't know where to go. And I don't know where we're going to go. So to me, it's, you better damn well enjoy the journey because there's never an end to destination where it all works out. Like you've got to enjoy the ride. And to me, I love chaos. Like I thrive in chaos. Like strand me, leave me on the side of the road. I'm going to find some friends. I'll hitchhike home. It's all good. And I've raised my kids that way. My wife's that way. And so to me, enjoy the journey.
Wow. That is amazing. That your story is absolutely amazing and is inspirational every single time I've heard it. I want to close out with a quote that I think perfectly encapsulates both you as a person and your stories and all the advice that you have given us today. And it's never bet against a winner, because even when the winners have down days, you know that they will always come back on top because that's what winners do.
Amen. Amen, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Nope, my pleasure, Woody. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been our very special guest, Woody Woodward of Drive Sales, the book. Go and check out his book. It's absolutely awesome. If you're wondering how we do all this fancy stuff here, we have a lovely mastermind. It's going to be coming up in the link. Go and check it out. Until then, my name is Ben Ebig with our guest, Woody Woodward. We will be back on Friday with another special guest. Until then, peace out.